This video is brought to you by Fiskit, for all your Zimmer fiscalization needs.
Hello guys, welcome to the third tutorial on Django. Last time we talked about modules. Modules in summary were basically how we were interacting with our database. Today we're going to talk about URLs and views. So I've gone ahead and created a new script. It's empty for now. Script code views.py and a script code URLs already comes with the when you create a new Django. So what are views and what are URLs? URLs, from the name, you can understand that they are basically how we define where the endpoints that we're going to be using on our server. Okay, so the basically the links that we're going to be interacting with as the user for us to be able to obtain information from our server or submit information to our server. More standardly called posting information and putting information or getting information from our server. Okay, so that's basically what URLs are. So URLs on their own, they're just definitions of where we're going to be interacting, how we're going to be interacting with our server. But alone they cannot define which information you're going to get. So what the views do is the views define what information you're going to be retrieving or submitting to the and how you're going to be submitting it to the. So the views basically act as the we can say sometimes they act as the middleman between the URLs and the modules, or the URLs and the more back end of the server. Okay, so they are the logic that defines how the information is going to be used. Okay, so inside our views, we're going to import. We're going to say from views from HTTP. From Django.http import HTTP response. Now this is just one amongst many types of responses you can give, some of which may include renders. There's a suggestion there, a render. Some of them may include JSON. You can return JSON form as the information that the server wants to use. So this highly depends on the specific situation of what you want to do. For example, you might be displaying a page, then you'd be responding in the form of a render, which is basically HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So it's basically returning a page, or you could be returning a JSON, which could be information that the user is retrieving from the database. Maybe you're interacting with the modules, you're changing the module information in the database into JSON, then giving the user back JSON. For example, someone wants to retrieve information on a user in the database. The database retrieves information, the modules retrieve information from the database, then it is returned as JSON. So those are basics of types of return of the things you can return. Okay, so we're going to be using HTTP responses. I think is the easiest to use just for demonstration. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a view, which is basically a function in Python. The function has to have request as input. Now request is basically the information that the user is it contains the information that the user is sending to the server. So information like JSON, or information like what type of request it is, like a post request, a get request, all that information is within the request, and we have to input it into the function, so the function knows. It can also keep track of who is sending this, so information like who is sending the request in the first place is within that request. So it can keep track of, for example, a server can have multiple users which are interacting with it. So a request can have information on each user. Each time a user connects, it will keep track of information like cookies and information on the user themselves so that it doesn't give you the wrong returns. It knows who is connecting and why they are connecting. Okay, so basically we're going to return hello world. We're going to return an HTTP response saying hello world. Okay, that's basically all we're going to be doing with our view. Then besides this, in our URLs, we're going to be creating a new path. So this path is basically our endpoint that we're going to be using. We're going to use the endpoint hello. Okay, comma. So besides this, you have to define which view this endpoint opens when it is called. So it's going to open the same view that we created in the views folder. I think we can leave the name blank for now. Okay. Then from here, I imported from, I did this prior actually. You from dot views import hello world. So hello world is the view that is in the views folder. It's this one here. And we're importing it with relative imports because our parent directory is actually not the same as the folder which URLs is in. So we're doing relative imports. Relative imports are just saying the folder which from which the folder URLs is. That's where we're going to find the views as well. That's why we're using this dot here, so that it imports from the same directory that the script that we're currently running is. So that's basically what this is doing. Okay, so we've added our URL. Then after this, we just save. Okay. So if we open this URL on localhost, you'd see that there is a new path here. And if we use this path, we say /hello, you'd see it says hello world. So this hello world written here is the same HTTP response that we put here. Okay, so that's a basic view and URL that is returning a HTTP response. Next time we're going to talk about a more complicated one. Let's say a more useful one rather than complicated. Complicated sounds like it's bad. A more useful one next time.